The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Wednesday in the rib.
And we're already looking at the election coming up on November 8th. That's Tuesday, November 8th. And I'm going to tell you now, on Monday, November 7th, we are going to have a show, and we will definitely talk about everything going on with the ballot. But one of the things I wanted to talk about before I get to any of these questions is the MBTA question.
And they'll never return.
Yes.
No, they'll never return.
Exactly. I called the elections office today.
Yeah.
And something a lot of people did not know is that it will not be one ballot for this election. It will be two ballots. There will be a separate ballot for the city question about the MBTA because that's a city question.
Yes.
Now, I asked a question that nobody seems to have the answer to in elections.
Well, they don't want to give you the answer.
Or they don't want to give me the answer. Does the 20% rule apply?
Oh, you should have never tipped them off.
Well, I mean, it's a question we have to ask.
It's in the charter.
It's in the charter. So, and they said, well, we don't know. I said, well, you know how this charter is. They're like, yeah, and that's the problem. We don't know. I said, well, we can't base this just upon one legal opinion, which, oh, no, we got to talk to corporate counsel and see what corporate counsel, and we know what corporate counsel is going to say.
See,
It doesn't apply.
It doesn't apply because
Right.
it's a state initiative or something.
But it's not a state initiative.
I know, it's a local initiative.
It's a local initiative.
But for a state authority.
Right.
So, but this is why it's see, you just hit it right on the head. Because what they're going to get from Runaway Rumsey is the political opinion, and it's an opinion.
Right.
What's going to happen is, I don't doubt that this thing, if it's approved, may be tested in court. Because I'm glad you called it, because our illustrious new head of the elections was on the radio yesterday, and he had a little Freudian slip.
This was the segue.
A little Freudian slip. He said a yes vote on the MBTA will have a financial impact on the city of Fall River.
Yes, he did.
And let me tell you something. That financial impact is going to be devastating. Maybe not right now. It will, but it will come. Everybody except the people in Fall River and New Bedford are aware of the catastrophe that the MBTA is. We've read articles about it. We've showed headlines about it. How do you think they're going to pay? They've continually, their budget keeps going up every year. And if you read the laws, which I'm sure, Friday we're going to have Nelson here, I think, and Nelson loves this topic, and he's going to talk about that too. But the law stipulates that if they're in a deficit,
We got to pay the bill.
we got to pay.
Yeah.
And they can raise it up to 103%.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we're going to be in a different category. These people keep saying, you're CERTA. Well, we're CERTA. But we're not part of the authority right now. When you join the authority, you're in a different classification.
That's right.
And we're going to pay MOA. You pay MOA for the great, for the great
honor and privilege.
honor and privilege. That's a good way to put it. I was trying to say it without using an expletive. But listen, and they're hiding it. That's what really aggravates me about this. Our city council is nowhere to be found. Where are they? They all got their head up in a derriere. Nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to talk about this. Carol Filer gets on and says, oh, you don't have to, hey, you get a bus credit. Yeah, I'm going to read that one line. Yeah. And what happens when how much you owe them exceeds your bus credit? But they also took the bus credit away in 3A.
That's right.
So there's so many questions that need answering because there's so many ways the MBTA can get money from you. That's the reason that all the rich communities are complaining now. And they know, they're all complaining now. They've been complaining since 2018. It's 4 years already because the MBTA's been trying to dig themselves out and they failed. So what's going to happen? They know. Everybody in the MBTA authorities is toast. We're going to get hammered. We're going to get hammered. They've already said, what good's the MBTA? If you're a millionaire, you're going to ride the T for 2 hours to get to Boston, 2.5 hours? No. You're going to ride in your Tesla. You're going to go up there. They'll probably have special Tesla lanes created. But they said they can't afford to give discount fares to poor people. So, I mean, what good is this thing? You guys want to stay in the Stone Age. I hate to tell you this, but train service is Stone Age. You know,
it is.
When we start moving around like the Jetsons and them spaceships, then we won't be in the Stone Age anymore.
That's right.
So
And again,
we just had to get that in.
And one of the costs we're going to have to look at is the fact that this is a diesel engine they're bringing through here.
Yes.
Okay, and the state wants to be carbon neutral
Yes.
in 5 years.
They are brain neutral, most of them up there.
But in 5 years, they want to be carbon neutral. That means you've got to have an electric engine, which means they're going to have to line the entire track for electricity.
Put a third rail in.
Exactly. They're going to have
Where people can get electrocuted if they step on it.
Right, and they're going to have the trains all set up, which means they got to buy all new trains to put on these tracks. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out if we decide we're going to do this.
What are they going to do electrifying that track from Boston all the way to Fall River through Attleboro, all these other places?
And think about it for a second.
Kids walk on track.
That's what I was gonna say.
They're going to have. It's going to cost them billions.
Right.
To do this. Billions. On top of the fact that without this on the horizon, they're $1.3 billion in a tank for their retirement system. You know, the person who did the report in 2008 for Deval Patrick said it's going to take decades and billions. Now it's going to be billions upon billions of dollars. And for this city to suppress this information, to give, and not only suppress it, but exacerbate it by the fact they're giving out false information, disinformation, and misinformation on this. They're all like crickets. Nobody wants to talk. Shut up. It's not going to cost you anything. We said it's not going to cost you anything. Shut up and check the box. Dummies. Now you know why the people up there are complaining. They must be going on. Fall River's getting the, what are they, crazy to get this thing? Are they nuts? They say, oh, that's right, it's in Fall River. The Fall River, New Bedford, none of them have functioning brains in that part of the state.
Right.
That's what they think of us, because this is the way we allow ourselves to be manipulated by the government.
You know, I brought up with our producer, and Steve said something. Steve is a resident of Rhode Island, as you know. And I was talking about the deficits, including in the pension system, and I wasn't sure if it was 1.3 or 1.8. Thank you for correcting it to be 1.3. And you had to look at this from the point of view, he says, why doesn't the Fed take them over? I said, they've been put on notice that the Fed wants to take them over. But, as you know, I didn't tell Steve this yet, but now he's going to know. Even the reports from the Fed say that they can't bail out the MBTA.
There was an article in the Boston Herald that said even a federal takeover will not bail the T out.
Exactly. Exactly. And already, I mean, I have a T card. It's called a Charlie card. I have a Charlie
He's
card.
still on there somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere he's on there. And I get a discounted rate. But I don't get a discounted rate on the commuter rail. What do? You get a discounted rate. Did you know that?
Yeah, all I have to do is show my badge.
That's right. And you don't have to pay at all to get out. But
I didn't know that for years. We paid for the T to go up to Boston, and we always paid for the T when we were going up with for union stuff, and we'd be there all day, and we didn't want to fight the traffic, so we just go to Quincy Adams, jump on a train, and go in. And it was a tough trip then because of all the stops.
Right. And you know,
then one day we went up for something in uniform, and we went to buy the tokens, and the guy went, "Go, you're in uniform." Then after that, I said, "All you got to do is show your badge."
Yeah. That's it. And you know, the interesting thing is that now they don't have people at the stations anymore. They've replaced it with the Charlie cards. You can't even get information at most of the stations now. So how are you supposed to get in for free?
Yeah,
if
I don't
there's
know.
nobody there?
I haven't been on a T in a long, long time. So
it's you know, it's amazing. But again, this is one of the reasons why the T is in the condition that it's in. Do I think that public service employees should get free transport? Yes. Okay, but somebody's got to pay for it. Yep. Somebody's got to pay for it. And right now, Fall River is paying for the T. We're paying for the T, but we don't get the service. We've been paying for the T for years, and we don't get the service. You know why? Comes out of our state tax dollars.
that's right.
And they focus the T on Boston. That's what it is. It's Boston. That's made for the ease of transportation in Boston because it's needed. It's been needed for years.
Well, all major cities need a transit,
A decent
system.
transit
a
system.
decent transit
Yeah,
system.
the problem is the MBTA at one time, maybe way back when, but, you know, when the horses were pulling the
Yeah.
trolleys, maybe it worked well then. I don't know, but obviously in 1959, we heard about, you know, them raising the rates, which they're going to keep doing to us too, and the guy couldn't pay his fare to get off because that was one of the things I always used to drive me nuts on the T because I used to ride the Green Line, and once I got out of Kenmore Square, it would cost me another toll to get off the train.
Yeah, you used to have to put a token in when you got on and get off. When you get off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it. But you know, the problem with the T is it's a government entity.
Yes.
And we know who gets jobs on a T. They get very well paid. They had a retirement system where you could retire after 23 years, no matter what your age was. So your cousin in the State House could get you a job there when you graduated from high school at 19 years old. And then at 42, you could retire with a full pension. No wonder they're $1 billion in the hole. They changed that after they got caught with that, and they saw the bills. They changed it to 55. Now they're complaining because they're trying to make it 65. But, you know, the thing is horribly run. Horrible. Everybody makes big money and they do nothing. It's just kind of like Fall River in a microcosm, you know, our buildings. Every building that we have to replace is in total disrepair. Even though every year we pay people supposedly to maintain that building as part of our city ordinances.
Right.
School department has a building maintenance department with a whole bunch of people in them. And our ordinances, the last time I read them, they might have changed, but I don't think they have. It said clearly that all buildings shall be maintained by the Department of Community Maintenance. At the time I read it, it said
DPW.
DPW.
Yeah.
But it's actually in ordinance. But then who the hell cares about ordinance? We're in Fall River. We don't care about the charter. The charter says 20%. We don't have to, because you know the problem is? The pinheads, except for Dan Robillard, who made that charter, when they put that in, they wanted to nullify every election for the last 10 years. I don't think we've had a 20% turnout. You know, and I don't know, the last election was 14% for Coogan.
And the primary was 8%.
8%. Yeah, we single digits. Single digits. Single digits. Look, I understand that primaries do not draw because, especially in Massachusetts, where virtually none of these people are running opposed.
Right.
So why go to the polls to put a check mark for somebody who's running unopposed? They're going to go to the polls and vote to themselves. So if they get one vote, they win.
That's it.
Because there's nobody in there.
That's right.
And okay, you say, all right, there'd be a lesson. But you and I, we're dating ourselves, but we remember when Fall River used to have 70, 75% turnouts.
And Fall River was a Republican city.
And Fall River used to throw out councilors and mayors if
Just for raising the taxes.
If they raised the taxes.
That's
there
right.
wasn't a mayor that ever raised a tax rate in an election year. And that's before 2.5.
That's right.
And even after 2.5, nothing. You would not even hear a peep from the city council or from a mayor about blowing money, about this total disregard they have. 68 new positions. Create a whole new department. We don't care. It's only money, and it's not ours. But we don't care. And that's the problem. When we had a city that voted, we had politicians that paid attention. There's a lesson to be learned in that. And Theodore Roosevelt knew that very well, because he gave a great speech one time he talked about the fall of the Roman Empire was created because the citizens of Rome stopped voting.
Right.
Learn something, people. You're not happy. We got an inflation. It's killing us. I mean, it's getting insane. It's like $18 for a hamburger in some places. It's just nuts.
I just saw the discount flyer that comes out every month from Burger King.
Yeah.
Everything was raised by $1. Everything.
Yeah.
And as it is, the company that owns the Burger Kings in this area, it's no longer Janko, it's a company called JSC. They've raised all their prices astronomically. And from what I was told, they're getting penny conscious. So now, before it used to be a third of a cup of ice.
Yeah.
Now it's 3/4 of a cup of ice.
Oh, yeah, a lot less liquid in there now.
That's right.
Yeah, they can fill it up with ice, baby. Ice is
That's
cheap.
it. That's why I always order my drinks no ice.
Yeah, it's pretty sad when you. But you know what horrifies me when I look at those coupons? In today's day and age, when you actually go, like if you go someplace and get hamburger, I mean good quality hamburger,
Right.
Angus or something like that, or even regular hamburger, and you look at the price, then you look at them selling 2 Whopper meals for like $10.99 now. It used to be like
$12.99 now.
Was it $12.99?
$12.99.
That was the last set of coupons.
Yep.
10. So it's up to
Yes, the
12.
last set
It
was
used to
10.
be 8.
Right.
And it always makes me wonder, Jesus, what kind of meat is that?
Donkey meat.
Oh, I said, how can they sell a hamburger today with French fries and a drink for that for 2 meals? So that's like $6.
Yeah, $6 a meal.
When you can't get a hamburger today for $6. I mean, Five Guys is to me one of the best chains around for burgers. I like Five Guys. Five Guys, I think, for the double burger is almost $12.
Yeah.
For their regular cheeseburger.
I mean, you go to Applebee's, it's $9 for a hamburger, and that's not a good hamburger. It's, it's a prefab. But this is what the inflation's doing, and this is because of Joe Biden and the Democrats.
Yeah, but Joe said, don't worry about it.
That's right.
It only went up a little bit. Well, guess what? It only went up a little bit, but it's the highest it's been in 40 years. He forgot that part because he can't remember anything from the last second. It's like saying, well, gas only went up a nickel. And then somebody says, well, but by the way, it's $37 a gallon. Oh, that's right. But it only went up a nickel.
Well, the interesting thing is you got to look at this and say,
leave it to our resident it has to get everything. Five Guys, a junior burger. That's not the big one. A junior burger, small fry, and a fountain drink, $17.75. So we got it right off the presses from our resident fact checker.
Yeah. Well, what's very interesting is you got to ask yourself: did Laura Washington take her lessons from the president, or did the president take them from Laura Washington? Because remember, $2 isn't a big deal.
That's right. $2 isn't a big deal. That's why they keep raising it by $2.
That's
they must be listening to Laura.
They must be.
Burger King must have watched the council meeting.
That's it.
$2.
$2
for the peons.
It's not a big deal.
No big deal. Don't worry about it.
So it's very interesting. Well, to digress a little bit more, there are 4 questions on the ballot, not 3. This book, which came in your mail this week, please don't throw it away. Please review it. Has 3 questions in it because the 4th question didn't make the cutoff.
What a surprise.
To be included in this.
Because they don't want the voters to vote on this.
And do you know what that question is? It's the 4th question. Do you approve of a law summarized below, which was approved by the House of Representatives and the Senate on May 26, 2022? This is the eligibility for driver's licenses. In other words, can illegal aliens get a driver's license in Massachusetts? The law allows Massachusetts residents who cannot provide proof of lawful presence in the United States to obtain a standard driver's license or learner's permit if they meet all other qualifications for a standard license or learner's permit, including a road test and insurance, and provide proof of their identity, date of birth, and residency. The law provides that when processing an application for such a license or learner's permit or motor vehicle registration, the registrar of motor vehicles may not ask about or create a record of the citizenship or immigration status of the applicant except as otherwise required by law. The law does not allow people who cannot provide proof of lawful presence in the United States to obtain a real ID. So
that is the most disgraceful thing I have ever heard read, because right out the gate, you have a state and a bunch of state reps who voted to give a lawful driver's license to people who they preface by saying they're here unlawfully. More accurately, illegally. So that's what it says.
right.
You cannot prove their lawful presence here, but we're going to give them a lawful driver's license. What's next? Equity for murderers? We can't. We got to. We can't. We can't. Everything is to eliminate any accountability or compliance with the law. That's what they do. This is the pit that we live in. Now, they're completely breaking down society. They're breaking down society. Yeah, then voter registration is next.
Well, now that our fact checker digressed.
We were going to segue there anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is the beginning. Now they're going to have a driver's license, and then they're not going to demand any proof, because they think like proving that you're a legal resident. Because look, this has been their entire plan since Joe Biden got in. We got over 2 million this year, almost over 3 million since he's been in office, basically. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. They don't care. 100,000 people dying from fentanyl. Human trafficking. They've even told the FBI they can't deal with human trafficking anymore. Just turn it over to the local authorities. People's children are being trafficked. People's children are dying of fentanyl overdoses, and these piles of human refuse that we call politicians don't care. All they care about is staying in power.
Well, here's an interesting thing about this law. The law specifies that information provided by or relating to any applicant or license holder will not be a public record and shall not be disclosed except as required by federal law or as authorized by the Attorney General regulations and except for purposes of motor vehicle insurance. The law directs the Registrar of Motor Vehicles to make regulations regarding the documents required of the United States citizens and others who provide proof of lawful presence with the license application. The law also requires that the Registrar and Secretary of the Commonwealth, this is important, to establish procedures and regulations to ensure that an applicant for a standard driver's license or learner's permit who does not provide proof of lawful presence will not be automatically registered to vote. Bull.
Of course.
Bull hockey, okay?
But then
because remember, the law says that the registry cannot communicate legal status to any other body.
And they're going to mail ballots all over the world like they did the last time, and then all you got to do is fill them out and mail it in, and they're not going to require any proof, not even a signature.
Right.
So we know this is crap. This is crap, because this is the Dems trying to keep total control and turn this society into...
Well, obviously, because this law was passed by the Democratic House and Senate,
Yep.
and it takes effect on July 1st, 2023. Thankfully, they made the law take effect next year, because otherwise this would never be on the ballot.
Yep.
And it would be too late. Because once it's in effect, what do? You can't repeal it. It's impossible.
And believe me, In this state, it probably will prevail.
Right.
I mean, because this state, because they're all virtue signalers. They're all people of privilege who none of this stuff will really touch. Look, how many years ago? We've been on the air 10 years.
Yeah.
And when we first got on the air, I used to always talk about how Teddy Kennedy, when he was in favor of people who saved all their life to move to the suburbs, busing their kids back into the city and stuff, I said, you know, he doesn't care because his kids are going to go to a private school. They'll go to Switzerland to school. They don't care about anything like that. They got their own police forces. Try to get on a Kennedy compound. You get arrested in like 35 seconds. They don't care because they don't have to live it. I always said, stick them in a 3-decker in Fall River with a couple of drug dealers, a drug dealer across the hall, a couple of hookers on the second floor, you know. And
Well, the Kennedys might use the hookers.
And that might actually be true. And on the third floor, they can be cooking some meth.
Yeah.
And see how long he feels the way he does. Let Lori Lightfoot not have 80 cops following her around. See how she feels about crime in Chicago. They're all hypocrites, just like in the Vineyard. The Vineyard's giving themselves congratulations. And Elizabeth Warren said, what a wonderful job. They were so welcoming. Yeah, they got those people out of there in 21 night. They stayed in there. And they're never coming there again.
And
they will stop them as soon as that plane lands. They'll have the National Guard and the buses ready.
That one night that they were there, they didn't get hotel rooms.
No.
They slept on the floor in the church.
That's right.
Okay? Or slept on cots.
They're
in the
not
church,
going to. Are you kidding?
Maybe they slept in a pew.
Are you kidding? Some of those elitists would never occupy a room again if you had illegals
And remember,
in there.
we had to take out 150 National Guard members to handle 50, not even 50 people, it was 48.
Yeah, and remember,
48.
that's a big crime now. The Democrats want to prosecute these people for giving them a taste of what they've created.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's the problem.
Right.
But before we go, I heard today...
let me tell you on question 4, a no vote, okay, will repeal this law.
Vote no.
A yes vote will keep this law in effect. And my opinion, just like yours, is a vote no. Vote no and to repeal the law. If for no other reason, because your state representatives and your state senators did not listen to the voice of the people. And remember, you don't represent the illegals. You represent the citizens that elected you. But I guess you forget that because it's not popular to just represent the citizens.
Every one of us had grandparents, parents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, even if they came over, who were immigrants.
Yes.
We are not. There are 1 million legal immigrants that come into this country every year. Nobody has a problem with that. But when a government gives more rights and more privilege to people whose first action is to violate the sovereignty and the laws of this nation, there's something wrong with our government.
Do you know what Massachusetts publishes on our tax dime? It's a book, a pamphlet. Refugee benefits.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're classifying
They're not refugees. They're
right, but they're
illegals.
classifying these illegals as refugees.
I know. Yeah, well,
okay? And what happens is they get the state's going to give them housing, the state's going to give them food stamps, the state's going to give them all this stuff, okay, which they can't do because it's federal money.
But we will send $50 billion to Ukraine for them to protect their borders.
Right.
And while we're in that quickly, we're talking about nuclear war again, Putin. But ironically, about 3 weeks ago, the only guy that speaks truly about that war, McGregor, said this was they're doing it because Ukraine, contrary to the con they're giving you, is losing their troops because it's not territory. There's no people don't win the war. It's not who's right who wins a war. It's who's left.
Right.
And they're losing a lot of their troops. And McGregor predicted this. He said they're crazy talking. So they're going to back us into a nuclear war to protect somebody else's border, not our own.
I hear you. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. We'll be following up on these questions again in the future. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. I want to thank you for watching. Have a great day.